What's up, guys? So, more progress on the R9 today. Going to be, not sure exactly what we'll be working on, but what I have in front of me is the Armor Body's bodywork for the bike. I'm thinking we crack this open, see what we have in the box, get a little bit of motivation from seeing the race bodywork there and starting to picture the design that we want to put together. Start stripping down all the street parts, so fairings, mirrors, stuff like that. I have a box from Vortex with gearing, chains, clip-ons, rear sets. Forget what else. I have a few packages from different vendors in that sense. It's even more stuff coming on the way. But today is February 21st, and our first race weekend and practice is April 10th. So just about a month in a week or two there. So we got a lot of progress to make. There's still a lot of stuff that I need to order and things that we need to continue doing research and figure out. So let's crack this open and see what we got in the box. And depending on time, we'll figure out exactly what we want to put together, but I want to try to organize this as best as possible, where I'm not putting on parts, taking off more parts just to put on something else that I forgot or didn't order in time and so forth. So there's things like the brakes that we haven't fully ordered yet. There's things that I want to take off my old bike, save a little bit of money. New format we're going to try in this video. We're going to go with a time lapse to cut the overall video length down, with the voiceover going over instructions, some of the stuff I struggled with, anything pointers that can help you guys as well. Hope you find it helpful. As we're unboxing this, all the parts seemed fine with the exception of the front fairing. That one I found on the front end was cracked, a few chips between the wing and the edges of, I call them the ears. That was a little frustrating to see right out the box there. Hopefully that gets taken care of when we reach out to the vendor. Jumping straight into stripping down the bike from all the stock parts here. So starting off with the sides, these are all very straightforward. Got a little complicated when trying to remove the trim pieces underneath this, because the wing is covering up a few hidden bolts, and that wing, the bolts are accessible, and then you just yank it off because it's held in with those rubber grommets. Next clip, you'll see me start going into the headlights there to start pulling them off, the mirrors and so forth. Was getting a little ahead of myself, thinking some of those brackets were holding down this trim here. But nonetheless, it all helps out one another. Some of the pieces I skip over in the time lapse just because I didn't know 100% the correct way to do them. So things like the or some of them where they were just too easy or self-explanatory. So things like the tank trim and whatnot, those I just took care of off camera. Nothing was too hidden out of the way where you couldn't get to it. And we started, front of the bike, worked our way back. Working on the tail section, everything was straightforward. All the bolts were, right there, except it's held in again with rubber grommets, so just pull them. Don't be scared, it won't break on you. Jumping right into the Armor Bodies kit, starting with the tail section here and the seat. This was very hard to put on. That tail was a snug fit on the subframe, kind of forced it on, and it held its place. Just two bolts on the top there. The stock bolts didn't fit, so I'm gonna have to figure that out later on, but they're there just to kind of hold it in place. This piece that I'm putting on now, working on, is the trim piece that kind of holds up the seat. You'll see me taking that on and off to test fit it. I kept the battery, that metal bracket, still there to hold down the battery. I didn't want that to get loose. This seat trim, pulled it off. Every trim piece, every part of the armor bodies kit you had to drill out to make the bolts kind of slide through. You have these rubber grommets that fit rubber, I forget what they're called. They're the nuts that fit into the seat, so you could put the seat on here. You got to drill them out. I think it was a 3/8 drill bit that I used, and then put them in, kind of like the windscreen nuts that you would use. So once that was in, all of this fit a lot better. I was struggling with the fitment on here until I was able to screw this all the way down. Even then, you'll see me kind of pushing down on the corners of the seat here to kind of put it back into shape. But I think just with it being bolted down, maybe my weight on it, after a few times, it'll kind of mold back into what it should be. Working on the front end here, the instructions on the Woodcraft Armor Bodies website were wrong. The brackets that they have you install are supposed to be pointing up, not pointing down. So you have the bolt holes there. Everything I'm installing is temporary for the time being, just to have them fit in place after drilling and everything, because I'm going to pull these off to send to paint. So installing these with zip ties on both sides here, and then I put the Zeus fasteners in there, and this one took a lot of finessing to get both sides to fit. You got to use the pliers on those Zeus fastener side to kind of shrink down the gap there between the fastener and the other side of it. This way it actually grabs and bites. This one took a little bit of finagling, even figuring out, again, the bracket's supposed to face up, not down, so it fits correctly. And real quick here, you'll see as I'm installing this, I already have the tank trim on there. That was a pain to put on, because as you're trying to fit the final bolts that go really close to the seat, you're going to start cracking. You're going to hear cracking on some of the other trim there. That's normal, I guess, because I've seen it on other R9s at the track. Tight fit, you got to push it and kind of force it into place there to make it work, but it'll work. After the front end there, we're going to start getting to the side. This is the right hand side here. We're pulling off the exhaust bracket and putting in the armor bodies bracket right in between the plate there to fit that. This is the Zeus fastener, or the bracket for that, for the belly pan. Pretty straightforward. I think this was a 5mm, two 5mm bolts. I left it a little loose, just to have some play there to see how the belly pan fits, and then I'll tighten it up afterwards. What I found to help me the most with the side fairings here, drilled out that hole in the center, put in the bolt about halfway through. Again, we're using factory bolt as much as possible throughout this kit, and then worked around it. So once it was kind of planted in place, I tried to match it up as best as possible to the tank trim as well as the front trim. You could see without the front trim, without this bolted on with the front trim, it's both are kind of loose in that sense. So once we got them together, you'll see that lower portion is still sticking out. Once it got together, it fit pretty decent, but when I'm working on this side and working on the other side, can't have them both in place. One will kind of take place and the other one will pop out, so I ended up drilling 2 holes on the top between this fairing and the front fairing to kind of keep it stable. And then later on, I didn't do it in the video, I'm going to drill right where my hand is now between those 2 fairings to get a good fitment there and bring up the gap closer. And you'll see me drilling the holes here on this next clip. These are the factory, this is the factory hardware that I took off. No particular hardware, just what I found in that front fairing or some of the stuff towards the tail. So this was for fitment to kind of to keep the side trim and the front trim fairings tight. Now once we wrap this up, we transition over to the belly pan area on this. This one was a little more difficult. I have to pull the kickstand off and then sandwich the bracket that they give you behind the kickstand mount. I was trying to fit it in front on top of it here, not realizing it goes behind it, because you have a little nub there where the kickstand spring latches onto. Once you install this, you can't fit the kickstand back on once you put the belly pan on. So this is a step where, you know, I had to keep the kickstand off, even, you know, I wasn't prepared to, since the bike wasn't fully finished, but we took care of that, ripped it off. And I still had a fitment issue with the kickstand sensor, so I'll have to rip that off a little later after I take these panels off. I also remember, while I put this bracket on, the way the bottom portion is facing, how it's kind of tucked inward rather than outward. I was hesitant on that because I didn't think it would line up with the belly pan correctly, but that's the correct shape of it. So once I put it on, everything fit decent, and I was able to torque the side down and close the side up. Jumping into mounting up the belly pan, which is the next clip here. This one wasn't too bad. I put the Zeus fasteners into the two brackets we installed, then I worked from the front to drill those out. I was starting to run out of daylight, so only did the Zeus fasteners in the front rather than 3 on each side, so I'll get to that later on next time I work on the bike. Straightforward. I installed the Zeus fastener, marked the hole where it would line up, and then marked it to the best ability on the outside of the belly pan as well. I didn't have a good way to measure this, so a lot of it is just a visual estimate of where I think it would fit on this. This is the second side I did. The first side came out way better, but when we drilled into the side fairing behind the belly pan here, I drilled it a little too high. So learn from my mistake. Make sure you stay within where the Zeus fastener can reach, because if it's too high, it's not gonna, when you come to put the Zeus fastener into it, it's not gonna line up correctly. The hole won't be centered in that sense. So I did this one a little wrong, so I had to bore out the hole a little bit lower. So I'll make sure to do it correctly on the other ones once I get to that. Wrapping this video up, we got the fairings about 90% installed, but the fitment on this is subpar. This is not what I would expect out of a kit at this price range especially. So some things are still loose because we're going to take them back apart, like the tail here. But you know, things, once you bolt them down, they get better, but they still need to mold to shape, right? A lot of fighting this kit to get it to fit. We have the bottom, the belly pan put on for now, just temporarily. Still, you know, 2 more bolts will put in. This doesn't come like this. I had to drill them and reuse some of the factory stuff. This piece here was horrible to fit. It started cracking a little bit as we're trying to mold it to fit. By we, I mean me. But as I'm trying to mold it to fit here, it starts cracking here prematurely. Then we can get these bolts on. The front, I don't know if you could see it, but it came damaged on mine. There's a little crack right there. It's dark, so you can't really tell, but also chips in it. Here is kind of loose, so I'm probably going to drill and put in another bolt here to just get good fitment. This, to me, the instructions were wrong. The ears point up not down like in the pictures and the instructions. I have it zip tied on for now. And you know, they're including this hardware in the kit, but it doesn't even, you know, you can't really put it in flush. It just kind of sits up like this because of the size in here. Just little stuff like that that kind of turns you away from, turns you off from this. Same with this side. Cracked right on the seam here. Bottom piece on this side, just put one in just to get it going. Here, this is having a big, you know, clearance issue, so we're gonna have to dig apart when I do the rear sets. I'll have to pull out the sensor, the kickstand sensor, and probably just loop the wires or something. Bottom end, nothing really, you know, there's 2 bolts below the seat trim here, and this bolt's here. That's the only thing holding the tail, and I don't know if that's enough or not, but I didn't put them in just yet. Seems pretty flimsy. I didn't put the windscreen in, we'll do that another time. I wanted to just fit it up, leave it on the bike for a few days for it to kind of start fitting around itself before we send this out to paint. Spent a good few hours on it. Not a lot of information online on some of the brackets and whatnot, so kind of learning as you go. This, without the ram air intake, I'll probably just tape this up to close it out, so I'm not getting a lot of crazy airflow here. That's not doing much, or I'm not sure. I'll do more research to figure that out.